have several university degrees in ethics and anthropology of health. My field is the criticism of the technologic system surrounding our medical practice. First, I want to thank the organizers, the contributors, and our courageous Romanian hosts who dare to organize this necessary feedback. I hope it shall spread everywhere more widely. This painting is named Théâtre d'Opéra Spatial, which means Spatial Opera Theater, and was made by the Midjourney Generative AI, artificial intelligence, with prompts from the artist Jason Allen. And Jason Allen won a prize, but then was accused of cheating. Who won? The artist or the AI? I will explore philosophical and ethical issues related to the technological disruption of medicine by the artificial intelligence. I have no conflict of interest. I don't have any public political affiliation, and I do not speak in the name of our hosts or anybody. I speak in my own name. Sorry to say, but this presentation is not made from a genuine, organic human intelligence use of myself. I used all those applications. I even spent time with the ChatGPT chat box, trying multiple prompts. I think AI is already stitched in our skin and brain. The simplistic presentation is the following: the pros versus the cons, as usual. The first one considers AI as a brilliant opportunity to reduce our mistakes. They want to optimize our medicine. They are fascinated by the efficiency, the speed, the seduction, the comfort, but mostly by the power and the business opportunities given by the mastering of the data. On the other side, the pessimistic one sees the humans cursed by their arrogant technology and hubris. Hubris, for the ancient Greek, is the will of patency, the fantasy of pretending to be God instead of God, the demiurge instead of the demiurge. But hubris is always followed by nemesis. Nemesis is the wrath of the gods, the Prometheus doom, the human punishment for his pride. They consider AI as one tool for the self-destruction of our civilization. Eschatologic and human ontology concerns surrounding autonomous technology are their central problems. The optimistic one sees AI as a kind of technological cultural revolution, which is going to change everything. As for the medicine, AI will assist the overwhelmed doctors and make them earn time and money. It will get rid of all the tedious administrative work and enable personalized and inclusive medicine and care. They are prompting us to become the brand new augmented human. Life shall be optimized by digital technology, just like a user experience is optimized. But this sounds like an alluring narrative. This is part of a disruption scenario. Actually, the AI technology and the digital world are being very harshly and very aggressively pushed. Matthew Crawford described in his book, Contact, the overwhelming economic war for our attention. Attention is constantly disrupted by the data industry and drawn away from the essential. Our digital devices constantly suck information and provide constant propaganda. It is consistent with the telescreen described by Orwell in his 1984 book. Generative AI use probabilistic models to create new data based on the examination of the existing examples. There are expert systems making algorithmic decisions from the information granted by the connected databases. They are interfaced with humans through natural language, which is called NLP. They generate content automatically with their own logic. Neuronal network processes are self-learning. You don't really know how they made the decision. There's a black box. They are grounding on the available data. So the big issue is that generative AI applications need to be fed with big data. Who's the master of the data is the real question. There's a massive propaganda and funding in medicine over those generative AI and digital transition in medicine. More than 60,000 studies and articles have been published in PubMed on the topic of AI and medicine, and more than 12,000 in 2023 at a logarithmic progression rate. Whatever your topic is, you are doomed to make a startup with digital tech if you want your research to be funded. All of those articles are dealing with the same keywords: personalized and precision medicine, future, innovation, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Here's a list of AI applications that actually are generated through ChatGPT. And AI does the administrative tasks. For instance, they are making the reports for the doctors automatically after a consultation. They generate drafts for the referral letters to the colleagues, or manage the declaration to the healthcare insurance and things like that. So they are kind of facilitating all the boring work. A lot of them are also used to do the patient's follow-up after surgery through smartphones and already implemented in everyday practice. They are also used in medical research to try and find new medications or repurpose old medications. They are used in the image diagnosis, helping the radiologist daily to gather symptoms and formulate hypotheses for the diagnosis, proposing what should be the different lab tests performed. They are also used in the treatment decision-making, for instance, in analyzing the genomic and clinical data to personalize treatment in cancer. They are used for surgery to provide intuitive system of manipulation of the surgery tools and robots, in ventilators to accelerate the weaning of mechanical ventilation in the intensive care units, the closed-loop glycemia and insulin distribution. They are even used in mental illnesses in addictology. With the right AI, pharmacists in France can now officially pretend to be medical doctors and put a plaque on their office if they own the validated application, giving automated answers and prescriptions for 10 usual diseases. Okay, so for the doctors, there's a prophecy and a curse. It has been summed up in an article titled, "Artificial intelligence won't replace doctors, but doctors who use artificial intelligence will replace those who don't." It's kind of a warn you have to obey. How come we cannot discuss or refuse AI disruption? Are we so sure AI is not going to get rid of the doctors for good and create Uber doctors? This article in JAMA Internal Medicine has already been cited by my colleague, but it marks a cornerstone in April 2023. It has been extensively relayed by the media and commented on by the mainstream media. Physicians are compared to a ChatGPT chat box for answering the patient's questions. The chatbot answers were judged significantly more empathic and more qualitative than the physician's answer, which is quite embarrassing and inconvenient. This narrative is part of an intention. This intention is to raise a speculative bubble over health transformation and to progressively expropriate doctors and healthcare providers from the decision-making process. Appropriation and expropriation has been shown by Belaj Qassem, who is a philosopher and friend of mine, as a particular trait of human nature. Humans appropriate everything in huge proportions, and thus expropriate in huge proportions at the same time. Big data and big tech are actually expropriating the doctors and the healthcare regulators and providers and the citizens from the loop. What is happening with AI and digital revolution in health is a shock doctrine imposed on medicine. Shock strategy and disruption were described by Naomi Klein and Bernard Stiegler. If one wants to conquer a market, it should inflict a big shock in the system before and collapse the regulation and the institution of this system. Then it will take control over the damaged system and the market by rebuilding the regulation and the institutions. So AI is a weapon in an early economic war conquering health market. The goal of digital technology is an automated, controlled world. The totally controlled perfect city has already been described in the 18th century by Thomas Hobbes in the Leviathan. Dimensions. Accidents are impossible. Everything is rule fluent and automated. 15-minute towns were already fantasized. Jeremy Bentham, a utilitarian thinker, modelized a place where nothing bad should happen. This place would be called a panopticon, see everything in Greek, where the walls would be transparent and one central guardian would see everything anytime. This place under absolute control, because of absolute centralized information, would be, for Bentham, the best ideal prison. And he will spend a whole fortune and the rest of his life building panoptic prisons. Michel Foucault, the French thinker, that has already been cited by a colleague, related totalitarian regimes to the installation of a panoptic surveillance over the citizens. A society of total surveillance is precisely being set up using AI and digitalization. The numeric steering of the society has been theorized in the late 40s by the Macy conferences in the US and the emergence of cybernetics. Cybernetics come from the ancient Greek Kubernetes, designating the steersman, the governor. Norbert Wiener formulated the principles of the cybernetics, which are still ruling the development of AI nowadays. Cybernetics explore the communication, the control, the regulation of systems, whether they are biological, mechanical, or social. It questions how systems process information, adapt to changes, and maintain stability through feedback loops. It has been applied in various fields, ranging from biology to meteorology, engineering, trading, and now artificial intelligence and medicine. It's all about control and never-ending suppression of the mistake. It is preoccupied with efficiency, with performance, with immediacy. On the overall, it's the continuation of the industrial logic consisting in the replacement of artisanal work by a data-driven industrial machine, which maximizes the profit and progressively separate the human from the concrete. Cybernetics steering progressively and constantly leads to a loss of relationship with reality and a despise for the human frailty. It's a paranoid search for perfection. Cybernetics is thus the perfect tool for totalitarian paranoid regimens. It actually happened with IBM and the Nazi Reich. IBM made a strategic alliance with the Nazi Germany and provided the Nazi with tabulation machines. They contributed extensively to the census of the Jewish people. The IBM Deomag applications have been used for facilitating the persecution and the genocide of the Holocaust. Artificial intelligence and digitalization need all the data to be efficient. They need to duplicate the world as data. Progressively, data capturing devices invaded our lives, starting with video cameras till our cell phones, constantly listening, watching, registering GPS position, temperature, time, interaction with the comment bar, keywords used. Everything in the real world around us is now digitized into data, collected in real time by the connected devices surrounding us. Next step is to transform the body into data. In medicine, this is called quantified self. The frontier between the pathologic and the normal collapses. This big data is actually feeding the techno-monster to provide a comprehensive representation of the world. Because if one can see and know everything, he cannot be surprised, he can predict everything. The big data will see things that you can't see. It relies on a necessarily totalitarian data collection. This is the power of aletheia in Greek. Aletheia meant the truth of not forgetting anything, the truth of the unveiling. When you watch in the air in the morning to see what's going to be the weather today, you are completely outdated and insufficient and overtaken by the technology who's scanning the clouds, monitoring temperature and pressure in the atmosphere in real time. Weather forecast offices have the data and the aletheia, and you are expropriated from your capacity of predicting the weather. There's a loss of the human capacity to gather and interpret the science. This is the same for the doctors. When a digital system is registering real-time data from a whole patient's population, the signs and symptoms you see, what you think and plan as a single doctor turns completely outdated and obsolete. So the actual truth is now known because the concrete facts were duplicated as a numeric and digital world in which the data keeper can request, organize, and cross-correlate the data. If all the data is gathered and represents the world better than any of us could do, what should be done is up to the ones who control the data. Data mastering provides a prescriptive power on the concrete world. Waze is a good example. If it was only connected to one car, it would be inefficient. To be mostly efficient, it must be connected to every car. And then it prescribes each driver with its specific route planning, creating traffic jam if it wants. AI and the big data steering introduce a disruption in epistemology. Epistemology is about what is truth and knowledge. Those generative AI are cross-correlating the information. They gather the concepts without any theoretical or coherence questioning. The trial-error method of proof, which was the usual process in science, you try and you fail, and you try and you fail, and you try and you manage, no longer exists. Knowledge is no longer related to a concrete experience. It is relying on the ghost of the experience gathered in the databases. The truth is what has been cross-correlated from the registered database. But data can be biased, suppressed, or created by automated prescription, propaganda, or censorship. Thus, automated prescription, bias, propaganda, and censorship become the knowledge and the truth. Who is the doorkeeper between data and application is the second question. These gatekeepers are the fact-checkers, their financial masters, the media, who we are expropriated. We have observed the consequences of such decorrelation from the reality during the COVID. The underlying intention is to get rid of mistakes. Humans make mistakes. So AI shall logically get rid of the human eventually. The Superman of Nietzsche transformed into the transhuman, riding the AI for his domination over hazard and death. Those technologies are interstitial. They are taking place in our life extensively. Have you ever tried to get rid of your Gmail or your smartphone? It's nearly impossible now. It is a metastasized cancer. Our medicine, and more widely our society, is just like a patient in intensive care. The more he has tubes, needles, catheter, machines, the less he is alive, the less he is autonomous, the less he is conscious. The path toward healing never consists in adding more artifacts. On the contrary, in intensive care, getting back to autonomy and life consists in being weaned off from the different life-supporting devices. Recently, a change in the dominant narrative over AI has happened. Mainstream media published the emotions and sorrows of the leaders of the big tech. Mo Gwadat, an executive in the Google team, said, "Generative AI was the biggest mistake of my life." Geoffrey Hinton, presented as the godfather of the AI, said, "I regret the invention." And he assessed that it could be a domination tool. Oh, really? It has been widely relayed and published in the mainstream media. Is it part of the disruption scenario? After the honeymoon, now it is the threat and the fear project on the front of the scene, and it is presented as a responsibility of the technology itself for the drawbacks, which is a lie. It is technocracy owners' responsibility. The fearful narrative may justify all the damages to our freedom, just like in COVID. Is the AI narrative switch intended to blind us over the real billionaires behind the technology and their fascination for power and control? Conveniently, fear may justify regulation, forbidding open source AI, for instance, or forbidding any kind of unauthorized uses, controlling the validity of the data by fact-checkers, designating convenient data keepers. An automated world is being set up by financial powers investing in tech. It has no more relation with the real. It pretends to create knowledge, truth, and reality and prescriptions for any acts of our life. The European Commission committed a regulation text for AI. It's not there because I changed the thing, but there's been the Artificial Intelligence Act in 2019. At first reading, it appears to regulate the uses of AI, but the EU, as you know, is the tool of multinational companies to disrupt people's democratic regulations. We should read and read again this text and read between the lines. The regulations for medical AI are mostly declarations of intention and shy, and the promise is more rules, more constraints. We live in an illusion, like in Plato's cave or in the Truman Show. Algorithms have taken a rising space in our lives. It sets the way for the administration of our everyday life and must end in totalitarian power. So are we already transhumanistic avatars? Those artists made me as an avatar in a video game. They took 3D scan of my face. those last 3 years, we all happen to spend an increasing amount of time on the computers and smartphones, using the Zoom application and living increasingly in the digital connected world. Big Illusion is supplanting the real world. And so I think, I'm concluding. Yes. Is supplanting the real world. Big data and big tech are supplanting big pharma, democratic regulation and the doctors, and grab the big money and the big power. Is there a path for resiliency and resistance? I think we are the path. The resistance to the COVID narrative opened the way. There is a rationality war going on. Do we want to let technocracy control and predict everything, or do we accept frailty, insufficiency, delay, mistake, freedom, and corollary responsibility as a gift of our human nature? There is an ontological question behind that. May we not let the reign of silicon rule our lives. COVID and digital disruption destroyed innocence, fraternity, medicine, history, science, truth, knowledge, freedom, autonomy, and democracy. We shall now work hard to repair. It's worth a lifetime. A Romanian doctor friend of mine told me Romanian people could repair everything with nearly nothing. I don't know if it's true, but let's get to work. And let's get rid of this huge théâtre d'opéra spatial and get back to concrete reality. Thank you very much for your attention.